now that we've got the shoes unboxed, before we talk about the actual performance of the shoe, we're going to go ahead and talk about more of the history and the background behind this shoe, because there's a lot to talk about there, and quite honestly, it's my favorite part to talk about. So the Nike Air More Moneys are, like I said earlier, a combination between two shoes, and that is the Nike Air Much Up Tempo and the Nike Air Money Lows. So we'll start off with the Nike Air Money Lows because that's what the top of this shoe mostly resembles, and that's what the lacing system, that's where it comes from. And the Nike Air Money Lows were released in 1996, and that'll just play more of a factor whenever I talk more about the colorway later on, so keep that in mind. But yeah, released in 1996, and whenever the Air Money Lows came out, they definitely were not the most popular shoe. They were only really worn by two major basketball players, but those two players that happened to wear these shoes were Ray Allen and Reggie Miller. And if you know about the game of basketball, then you know that those are two of the most premier shooters, mainly three-point shooters, that the game has ever seen. So couldn't have picked two better guys, honestly, to wear these basketball shoes. But yeah, apart from them, they both wore these shoes, I guess, for about a year, the Nike Air Money Lows. And then they pretty much fell off the face of the earth. So then I think shoe designers, after a little bit of time went by, they wanted to find a way to bring this shoe back to life, per se, because with the unique lacing system that you see here, how the laces run up the side, it's a cool look. I'm glad they did it, but yeah, the way they chose to do this is to combine two old school shoes, the Nike Air Money Low and the Nike Air Much Up Tempo. And that's where you see the bottom of the shoe. The bottom of the shoe is from the Nike Air Much Up Tempo, if you were curious about that, because if you thought it looked familiar, it definitely is. That's where the bottom of that shoe comes from. And then the top obviously resembles the Nike Air Money Low. So that's what the designers did to bring this shoe back, and I think it looks really cool. But yeah, that's just some of the background info, more of the history on how the Nike Air More Money came to be. All right, now we'll go ahead and talk about the appearance of the Nike Air More Money. And I think that's the most important thing that we have to talk about today, because one look at this shoe, and that's probably going to be the first thing, the last thing, the middle thing that you notice about the Nike Air More Money, just because of the colorway that we're looking at today, combined with the lacing system. There's a lot to talk about. So the first thing we'll talk about is the colorway of the shoe. So we're looking at the Have a Nike Day colorway or product line that Nike has recently released. And one thing to talk about is that this, of course, is not the only shoe that is in that colorway. There's a bunch of different shoes you can get that resemble this color scheme, such as the Nike Air Force Ones, and you can get that in the mid as well. You can also get it in the Air Max 95, the Air Max 97, the Air Max 270, as well as, of course, the shoe that we're looking at today, the Nike Air More Money. So the color scheme of Have a Nike Day is meant to resemble a 90s color scheme, I guess you could say. There's purple on the bottom, what looks like purple to me. You've got a coral color that runs right in here. You've got some like teal green, I guess you could say. But I'm a huge fan of this colorway. I think obviously every shoe that I've reviewed, I think, has been a pretty out there color, going back to the Westbrooks that I reviewed and then the KDs before that. So obviously I'm really into this kind of stuff, the colors to be specific, but yeah, I love the color scheme. Nike just recently launched this. This isn't a brand new shoe. The Nike Air More Money have been out for a little bit, but I think specifically the Have a Nike Day colorway of the shoe released on March 1st. So pretty new shoe, only been out for a little bit. But now that we've talked about the color of the shoe, we'll go ahead and move on to the next biggest thing, which is the lacing system of this shoe. So if you look at this shoe, you can see here that the laces, like I talked about a little bit earlier, run along the side of the shoe. On both sides, they just stay. They zigzag down the shoe. There's no crisscross pattern. So something that's cool about that it allows is, as I knock them down again, that it allows you to use this interchangeable lacing system. So all you do, you can change out the tongue, not the laces. It's interchangeable tongue. So you take out the laces, you relace around this, and then all of a sudden you've got a brand new looking shoe, as you've got this new tongue that you can insert into the shoe, which is very cool, I think, because something that we need to talk about that's been reported by people is that this shoe can tend to maybe crease a little bit in the tongue area specifically. And that's not a huge deal, not a huge red flag, would have to argue, because I have some Nike Air Force Ones that are supposedly, or that are constantly reported as being easily creased. And I think that's all speculation. It depends on if you're using these to play ball in, then yeah, they're going to get a little bit creased, because everything you play basketball in, everything you're running around in is going to take some wear and tear for sure. But another thing is I've got a pretty big shoe collection, so I have multiple Air Force Ones, and I kind of cycle them in, so I never wear them too much. And I think you also need to be careful with how you're walking. If you're pretty cognizant of how you're walking and you're never really trying to put too much emphasis whenever you're rolling your feet, you're not lazy whenever you walk, I think that'll minimize creasing in the tongue as well. But yeah, just something to talk about. Really cool that they do this for you. It comes with all the Air More Moneys. And that's really cool, because if that does begin to happen, you have backup. You have an extra set of tongues here that you can use to insert into the shoe. So that part of it is very cool, very beneficial. But yeah, that's just the biggest thing. Whenever you're talking about creasing, it's more going to depend on if you're wearing these shoes every single day. These are your only shoes in your rotation. Then they're gonna get beat up. That's just a fact. It's not going to be specific to this shoe only. So keep that in mind, I guess, as you think about buying this shoe. But the most important thing to think about whenever you're buying this shoe is, I want to say do your research. Luckily, I do some of that for you. But with this shoe specifically, I think it's definitely more of a shoe for, I want to say, sneakerheads is more the audience is trying to target. You know, it's kind of a throwback. Definitely a really cool shoe to have in your collection. But the everyday population might look at this shoe and get lost with everything that's going on here. But yeah, if you can appreciate the throwback to the Nike Air Money lows, as well as you're someone who already previously enjoyed the base of the shoe from the Nike Air Much Up Tempo, then definitely I think that this shoe could be a shoe for you. But yeah, definitely make sure that you look into it, explore all the colorways out there. Like I say, I try and make sure I say this in all the videos that I love this colorway. This is the one I went with, but there's more out there. So don't let one color of the shoe throw you off, because a lot of the other shoes I looked at in this model, in the Air More Money, I didn't like. But this one, I liked it immediately. I went with it. So yeah, for sure, make sure that you take the information I'm giving you about the shoe and then go explore a couple of different ways that you may prefer the shoe differently. All right, so as we finish up here, the last thing that we'll talk about today is the comfort of the shoe. And I think that I was pretty happy with how well these shoes held up. The Nike Air More Money has a full-length air cushion, so that definitely helps with the support of the shoe and keeping your foot locked in there, making it feel more comfortable. Because obviously, if you're going to be wearing this shoe as a casual shoe as opposed to a basketball shoe, either way, honestly, you're going to want to be comfortable in it. So yeah, the cushion definitely helps provide some support as well as comfort. And one thing is, it's a little bit heavy, but no heavier than a lot of Jordans that you'll see people wear. So nothing to really be overly concerned about. The shoe does run true to size, so I would highly advise you not ordering a half size, definitely not a full size up, because if you're already on the fence about whether the shoe looks bulky as it's been somewhat described as, I don't think it is for sure, but definitely order true to size. Don't give yourself a reason not to like a shoe that otherwise is very cool. The design is really well put together, but yeah, just some things. There's some things to think about comfort-wise about the Nike Air More Money. All right, so to recap the shoes real quick before we get out of here, I think the Nike Air More Money is a very cool looking shoe. I love the lacing system on these shoes, and I'm also a big fan of old school shoes. So for me, these were an easy cop. For sure. But if you're someone that likes more of the futuristic shoes, such as the the Air Max 270s or the 720s that just dropped, or the Vapor Maxes, on and on, maybe not the shoe for you. But if you're someone that likes some of the old school stuff, definitely I think you should take a look at these shoes, do a little bit of exploring out there and stuff like that to figure out which ones you like the best. But yeah, that pretty much covers our, that sums up our review of the Nike Air More Money in the Have a Nike Day colorway. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button below if you haven't already. We'd really appreciate that. And also, don't forget to check out our Instagram and Twitter to see what shoes we have in stock for you guys. Like I say always, go ahead and DM us, shoot us something like that, and we'll try and work something out discount-wise. If you, especially if you've been watching our YouTube videos, we appreciate the support. But yeah, I'm Landon from Shoeware, and until we do our next shoe review, peace.